Thank you. Welcome to the Ellensburg City Council meeting of April 1st, 2024. I will be sitting in for Mayor Elliott, who is traveling today, but it's too hard to run a meeting from Zoom. So would you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Councilmember Thompson, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have three proclamations.
Do you want me to take roll?
Oh, yes, please. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Beauchamp,
Here.
Goodlow,
Here.
Elliott,
Here.
Lilquist,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Palmer,
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Math practice. We have two proclamations, or three proclamations, two of which we'll read. We won't read, but we will post about the National Safe Digging Month proclamation. But if Councilmember Miller would read the Arbor Day proclamation, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Arbor Day, April 2024. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, we, as the City Council of the City of Ellensburg, Washington, do hereby proclaim April 20th, 2024 as Arbor Day in the City of Ellensburg, and we urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, we urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Signed, first day of April, 2024.
Thank you. And Commissioner Walksmith is here to read the National Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Hi, well, thank you for having me. Beside me, I have two of our three full-time staff. CASA is a small nonprofit. We have three full-time staff. Two are here, Nicole Waxsmith and Sandy Martinez. And I also just want to take a second to thank City Council for your partnership in blue lighting City Hall, the Ellensburg Police Department, the library. CWU is also blue lighting Barge Hall, and the county is blue lighting the courthouse. So we're trying to raise more awareness. So I will read the proclamation into the record. Child Abuse Prevention Month, April 2024. Whereas child abuse and neglect is a serious problem affecting every segment of our community, and finding solutions requires input and action from everyone. And whereas our children are our most valuable resources and will shape the future of our community in which we live. And whereas child abuse can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that have lasting consequences for victims of abuse. And whereas protective factors are conditions that reduce or eliminate risk and promote social, emotional, and development well-being of children. And whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of partnerships created between child welfare professionals, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, and families. And whereas communities must make every effort to promote programs and activities that create strong and thriving children and families. And whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as a community to increase awareness about child abuse and contribute to promote the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment. And whereas prevention remains the best defense for our children and families. Now, therefore, the Ellensburg City Council proclaim April 2024 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Ellensburg and call upon all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, elected leaders, and businesses in Ellensburg to participate in the efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the communities in which we live. Dated this first day of April 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the mayor has already signed all those. So next is awards and recognitions, and it's my pleasure to introduce Zoe Trudeau, whom I met a few weeks ago. Zoe is a Girl Scout from Troop 3953. She is a Ellensburg High School freshman, and she's a kite surfer. So if you would come up, please.
First off, I just wanted to explain the event at which Nancy was awarded this award. Sweets Before Supper is an event held in Spokane, Washington to recognize impactful women in near communities. The event helps fund Girl Scouts in communities that might have a difficult time starting new troops due to financial issues. The event is also a way for impactful Girl Scouts in Eastern Washington and Northern Idaho to show the ways they helped communities using their Gold Award project. I had the opportunity to attend and award the Brownie Fair Play Badge. The award is for someone that deserves recognition for always being true to their word and not cheating the system. Nancy Lilquist has done many things to represent this over the last 10 years working on the city council. She also served on other important advisory boards and committees. And I am a Girl Scout who hopes to impact the community in a positive form the way Nancy Lilquist has. Girl Scouts has given me skills for this by teaching me to be independent, confident, and a problem solver. I learned to be a problem solver through the development of completing badges and learned how to be independent and confident through cookie selling. Thank you.
Thank you. Heidi, would you take a picture? Yes. And I'll just comment, I was so impressed with the projects that the Girl Scouts were doing in their communities, and how Girl Scouts just in general were building confident, courageous young women. It was very impressive. So, and I thank them for the award. So moving on, we are at approval of the agenda.
Madam Mayor, I move approval of the agenda.
I will second.
Motion and second to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Two vote aye, opposed. Motion carries. The consent agenda is before you.
Madam Mayor, I move consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Two vote aye, opposed. Motion carries. We are at petitions, protests, and communications. There's a recommendation for appointment to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee and the Library Board on page 103. Do we have applicants for the lodging tax, I recognize. Would you like to introduce yourself up at the microphone? And Kelly, if you want to say a few words, that's fine too.
Kelly Vanberg, City of Ellensburg staff and staff liaison for the Lodging Tax Committee. Tonight, we do a recommendation for council to approve two individuals to our lodging tax, one on the receiving side and one on the lodging side. First, we have Carmen Wiggins, who is the general manager of Icon Inn, a unique property new to Ellensburg. Beautiful property, in fact. And our second applicant is Janie Zenchak. Totally butchered that. Who represents the Ellensburg Arts and Cultural Alliance, and is the one on the executive board of that organization and has been instrumental in helping move the creative industry and the creative district forward.
Thank you very much. I'm Carmen Wiggins. I work for Icon Inn as their general manager. I'm just excited to be able to act within Ellensburg and this spot, and hope to learn a lot and hope I can be of some value.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jamie Zenchak, and I work at CWU. I teach entrepreneurship and accounting. I'm a CPA, and I also love to give back to the community. I'm also part of the newly developing group at CWU called BCS, Business and Community Services. And I'm very excited to learn all there is to know about the lodging tax and do what I can in order to help this community thrive. Thank you.
Super. Thank you. And is there anyone here from the Public Library Board?
So I believe we have Vicky Carpenter and I think Richard Moreno might be online.
Oh, I see. Vicky, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Dr. Vicky Carpenter. I'm an assistant professor at Heritage University. I've been in Ellensburg for a couple of years now. The library board was of interest to me. As a kid, the library was very much a safe space for me. And so when one of my colleagues said, I'm on the library board, why don't you see if there's an opening? It just seemed like a natural fit. I was pretty involved. I lived in Chelan County before and very involved in that community, and like to kind of jump in and continue to be involved in this community as I transition from Wenatchee to Ellensburg full time.
Thank you. Thank you. I should have asked, is there any questions for any of the candidates? Mr. Marino?
Yes. I don't see any visual, but anyway, my name is Richard Moreno. I'm also very pleased to be able to join the library board. Here, let's see, start my video there. I'm sorry I can't be there today in person. I'm visiting my daughter during my wife's spring break. I have always been a fan of the library. I actually use the library quite a bit, and I'm just very pleased to be able to give back to the community and serve on the library board. So thank you for allowing me to have that opportunity.
Thank you. This is a public comment opportunity. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to the candidates? Okay. Is there a motion?
I'd just like to say that I'm kind of pleased because I'm on the lodging tax and the library for this.
Yeah.
So I am very excited to work with all four of the individuals that have been selected. So I'm looking forward to it.
Great.
Madam Mayor, I would move that we approve the recommended appointments to the commission and committees.
Second.
Motion and second to appoint the recommended individuals to the respective committees. Is there any comment, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Okay, So we are at citizen comment on non-agenda items. So I will just kind of read an introduction. Comments will only be accepted from those persons attending the council meeting here in the council chambers, nothing via Zoom. Each speaker's comments are to be limited to 3 minutes. The total time allotted for this agenda item for all speakers is 30 minutes, but we can extend that with a vote of the council. Speakers may not identify themselves as candidates for elective office, make statements which assist or discuss campaigns of a candidate, or campaigns for a ballot proposition. Speakers providing comments on non-agenda issues may only address the council on matters which concern the city's business or over which the council has control. When recognized to speak, please state your name and whether you live in Ellensburg, Kittitas County, or elsewhere. State whether you are representing yourself or others, and state the topic upon which you wish to speak before making your comments. Speakers are cautioned not to engage in conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the council meeting. And please note that the council will not be taking any action on anything that is raised during this public comment, but we can put it on a future meeting. So looking at my sign-up sheet, William Coleman would like to talk about the city social media.
Hello, William Coleman. As a resident of Kittitas, I haven't paid much attention to the Ellensburg government. That is until I saw what happened on your city Facebook post from March 27th regarding your Transgender Day of Visibility. I noticed one citizen's comment stating there were 40 comments total, but only 5 were visible. Sure enough, after clicking all comments, I could see only his and 5 other comments, all of which were in favorable support. What happened to the other 35? I called and informed your city manager that something wasn't right. She promptly had her social media employee call me. The employee was excitable and defensive right from the start of our conversation. She cited hate speech in the city's social media policy. I asked her who she was to decide what constitutes hate speech. She immediately became guarded, and instead of answering my question, she admitted to hiding the comments, but said that she did not delete them. At this point, I knew I wasn't going to get anywhere with her, so I hung up and decided that my best course of action was to address you, the council, here. This morning, on the advice of my attorney, I filed a public disclosure request for the contents of those public posts, as well as any and all city emails and texts pertaining to it. Your staff silenced an entire demographic in favor of another based on her personal ideological feelings. You expect me to believe that every dissenting comment constituted hate speech? Obviously not. Some of the earlier comments have been restored. Hate speech is free speech. Once we regulate it, it invariably becomes subverted by human greed and emotion. I suggest you revisit your social media policy and give your city manager a directive to keep a handle on the politicized employees in your bureaucracy. Should someone yell fire in a movie theater? No. Should someone make threats of bodily harm or swear profusely on the city Facebook page? No. Should we silence a majority of community voices because of feelings? No. That this happened is evidence that the slippery slope regarding our erosion of civil rights. Public reaction is a direct result of the actions of this body. You don't like arguments on your social media page? Maybe you shouldn't take the actions that constantly favor one demographic over another. We, the people, are fed up with being emotionally blackmailed by our own government so it can cater to a fringe demographic. This type of discrimination does nothing but undermine the social systems that once made this country great. People have a right to express their displeasure. And before you go and dismiss me as a right-wing extremist conservative not worth listening to, understand that I am a former liberal Democrat who chose America first because of injustices like this. Tell me how it is right to deny the voice of one demographic in favor of another. We will see if your staff hit or delete them. If there was one deletion, I will sue you. Get this house in order, or the people will find new representatives to do it. You have my attention now. Thank you.
Thank you. Teresa Plouffe.
Hello, I've been trying to engage in city government now for a little over 2
I'm
years.
sorry, Teresa, I know we know who you are, but
Kittitas County, and I love coming to these meetings and watching government. I've been struggling for 2 years to understand how it works, and I had an aha moment, and it was like, okay, they must have a rules and policy and procedure manual, just like the school where I worked. So I went to the website, your website, and I couldn't find it at first, but Beth Leader helped me find it. And I read through it, and there are a lot of details in there. There were a lot of them that I was really surprised about. But before I read this, I also want to say that thank you to the 3 city council members who came to the Legion and explained the process of what's coming with the park. I had thought that maybe on Be Heard Ellensburg, it would be, how much time do I have left? 1 minute 50. Okay. Anyways, I have a suggestion for that. I was hoping someplace there will be, it'll tell us the process when it's going to different commissions, because there's so many commissions. I don't know where it's going along through the process. So if you can't do it on Be Heard Ellensburg, maybe someplace else you guys can help us understand that so that we can help out with that process. I want to read 6.4 in the rules and procedures, I believe it is. 6.4, courtesy. All staff and council members during the discussion, comments, or debate of any matter or issue shall address the remarks to the presiding officer, be courteous in their language and deportment, and shall not discuss or comment on personalities or indulge in derogatory remarks or insinuations in respect to any other member of the council or any member of the staff or the public, but shall at all times confine the remarks to those facts which are germane and relevant to the question or matter under discussion. Germane, relevant to a subject under consideration. Thank you.
thank you. Howard Jones?
Howard Jones, council member, Ellensburg resident. I put in topic of informations of organization and dismemberment of an embassy registration of no price to both STEM research and a statement of comparability to complement my site evaluation. Aside from this building's evaluation and bus garages and implementing further patrols in school zones outside traffic speech.
Okay, thank you, Howard. Angie Ling about Save Craig's Hill Reed Park.
Angela Lang, Ellensburg resident. Speaking for myself. On October 2nd, 2023, the Reed Park Master Plan Survey was released. At that time, the Save Craig's Hill group was only made up of the American Legion members. At events, we obtained signatures on our petition, showed the park plans, and a flyer was also handed out with the City Council, Park and Rec, and open house schedule included. On Facebook, I shared the survey as well as the Be Heard eBerg website. We only had 4 weeks to inform people of the online survey. I personally printed the survey and was granted an additional 1 week to reach the people not online. The people we reached included veterans, elderly, and those who were uninformed of the proposed plans. I myself went door to door in my parents' neighborhood. The morning of November 8th, 2023, Lori and I took 170 surveys to City Hall. I have a receipt signed by the city clerk. The surveys are now public records for verification. In the March 18th, 2024 agenda packet, it claims all the surveys collected by the Save Craig's Hill group had the exact same wording. This is not true. Not only was my reputation tarnished with that claim, so were the American Legion members who helped me. The American Legion members and residents who took the survey were penalized, silenced, and excluded from the total survey results. Had they been included, it would have shown 406 out of 549 people who took the survey were against the proposed changes at that time. At the March 18th meeting, a televised event still available on YouTube and the city website, you labeled me as an activist and the Save Craig Hill an anti-park plan movement. who are against democracy, intimidate people, and people do not speak because of the fear of wrath of our group. My core group is very small, less than 20 people. I personally know these incredible people. Many of those have family that have lived here for generations. I do not have any control of the people on Facebook who share my posts and add their own comments to them in other groups or personal pages. My group has educated people and let them have a voice within reason. I talked to many of the neighbors, and I truly wanted to know what the wishes of these neighbors up here, what they wanted. I worked with Brad to adjust the plan that would work best for all of the Kittitas County residents and attended private meetings with the Legion E-Board, mayor, city manager, and others. Our group held dinners and community meetings and educated the community on all the issues. We were denied a town hall meeting, two-way dialogue with the entire town, its representatives, held in a location with adequate parking and seating. We're a peaceful, kind group. We love our town and the people who live here. To label me as an activist and my group of veterans and residents who want the historic and iconic Craig's Hill to be left as is, like it has been for the last 100 years, as an anti-plan movement, is disgraceful, and it dishonors every member in our group. We deserve your respect and a public apology. You have no idea what you did to me.
I will apologize, but Cheryl, do you want to speak first?
We're on the agenda for right now, right?
You have signed up to speak on non-agended items.
Go ahead.
Okay, so on reflection, I agree. I owe you an apology, and the council an apology. I did not live up to my own standards of treating everyone with respect and limiting my comments strictly to policy. So I do apologize. Apparently I didn't live up to policy 6.4 of the of our code either. So I was reminded that I need to remember that everyone comes with good intent, and we share this community, and I need to work on, I would like to work on improving civic dialogue and if the council, what the council can do to change our process. And I guess I'd invite anyone who has ideas, and I am always willing to have coffee, go for a walk, talk about any issue that comes before the council. I also, before Mr. Coleman leaves, well, maybe I just want to remind him that the National Transgender Day of Visibility was a day chosen by the City Council to be as part of a list of days that was adopted. It was our public information officer did not choose whether to post that or not, and our social media policies are available on the website, and the city attorney did review her not deletions. They were not deleted, hidden, what was hidden. So, is there anyone else who would like to speak? Ms. Chance.
Next.
Yes, you are.
Good evening, City Council members and staff. My name is Cheryl Chance. I live in the county, and I'd just like you to know that I'm disappointed that the minutes for the March 18th, 2024 and tonight's City Council meeting for approval did not reflect the verbiage contained in the YouTube video by the City Council of Ellensburg that was recorded that night. Unfortunately, no one at tonight's City Council members meeting challenged what was typed as to what was taped for the 19 minutes that one of you continued to pontificate on. For this council member to be allowed to do that verbal assault on one of our on our late leader in the Save Craig's Hill group is absolutely, in my opinion, despicable and not in line with Robert's Rules of Order. You, sir, owe Angela Lang a long overdue apology.
Could I ask, was that directed at me? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Could I,
Yes.
was that directed at me? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, then I will also apologize if I offended Angela or anyone else.
Is there anyone else, Mr. Kelleher?
Pat Kelleher, I live in the county. I'm going to talk about the indoor emergency shelter. On your Be Heard Ellensburg website, which has this as a project, you have a form to fill out to submit a piece of property to be considered. The form does not include any indication of when it's due. The other thing that I want to mention is item 4. The parcel size says a minimum 1.25 acres. To give you scale, you can take grocery outlet, divide it in half. You can have the building or you can have the parking lot. And either one of those is smaller than 1.25 acres. The parking lot with the over 100 spaces for the S2 pallet shelters you plan on, the 25 you plan on putting on your future indoor emergency shelter location, a parking space footprint is larger than what's required to site your pallet. So you're proposing siting 25 pallets with a 2 pallet per year growth on a site that could easily handle 100. And even if you discount the restroom in the community room. So if someone submits a site that's 1.24 acres, you won't consider it? Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council? Any?
Penny Whitman of Ellensburg. I would like to say in regards to Angie's response, we do back her 100%. We are not out to cause anybody problems. We're out to get answers. And all we would really like to do is have our town hall meeting so everyone in the town or around that are affected by this have a chance to speak. I too appreciate the council members that came and answered our questions, but I feel like we're just a portion of the people out here that need to be explained to what's going on and what the process is. Because we're going to be here through the whole process. We still are concerned with other things that may transpire. And so we're not going away. We are a support group. We're not out to make anybody mad, but what we are here is to resolve these issues. And I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Yeah.
My name's Andy Clemon, county resident. And from what I understand, Angie was insulted during a meeting. A rule was broken. I believe it was 6.4. Let me just clarify. There was a derogatory remark or an insinuation in respect to a member of the public. That's a direct violation of this rule. Whoever did this is subject to RCW 42.30 .120 violations. Let me quote that to you. Oh, I don't have that one with me, but it basically says any council member who knowingly willfully violates any rule of a meeting is subject to a civil liability of $500. So I would seek to impose that on whoever broke the rule. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak? Andy Breen is online.
Except
Oh, that-
under the rules.
This is
Yeah.
right. His hand is raised, so thank you. Okay, seeing no one else, we will move on to business requiring a public hearing. This is for ordinance 4940, amending the 2023-24 biennial budget.
Good evening, Mayor Lilquist and City Council. I'm Gloria Lanfear with the City Finance Department. The proposed supplemental budget before you this evening is a routine budget amendment and basically carries forward unspent 2023 budget into 2024 to allow for project completion. Additionally, it formally amends the budget to include items previously approved through council action. If you'd like to follow along, figures for each item by fund are included in the attached table 1, beginning on page 118 of your agenda packets. Of the proposed additional expenditure authority of $9.3 million, approximately $8.4 million is carry forward of unspent budget from 2023. This carry forward amount includes $1.3 million in expenditure and expected grant revenue in our street department funds for various continuing projects, $900,000 in the city general fund for the fish food bank, $544,000 from state and local fiscal recovery funds for Unity Park project, $1.6 million in the light utility fund, $2.7 million in continuing projects from the sewer department, $1.2 million in continuing projects from our internal service funds, $288,000 from water construction. And all the aforementioned carry forward expenditures are projects previously approved by City Council in 2023. Other items approved by council since the mid-biennial review supplemental budget was adopted in December 2023 include Resolution 2024-04, adopting the pay plan for an IT business analyst, and the Finance Department adding 1 FTE to the Utility Billing Department. Also included in this proposed ordinance is the addition of a $50,000 grant awarded from the Department of Commerce for coordinating low-income housing planning, and the $4,500 expenditure for the Arbor Day tree project. The cumulative effect of the proposed ordinance increases budgeted 2024 expenditures by approximately $9.3 million, revenue by $2.5 million, and budgeted beginning fund balance by $20.6 million. The effect of these amendments on the budgeted 2024 ending fund balance is an increase of $13 million. For each budgeted fund, the proposed amendments maintain anticipated 2024 ending fund balances within required fund balance thresholds. At the conclusion of this public hearing, staff recommends considering first reading of the proposed supplemental budget ordinance.
Thank you. Council, do you have a question?
Madam Mayor, I think we skipped the script for the public hearing. You can pick it up after the staff report.
A, okay. Okay, so the floor is open to testimony for the public. Each person will have an opportunity to address the council for an initial period not to exceed 5 minutes. If more time is needed, it will be made available after everyone has had an opportunity to speak. Is there anyone who would like to speak regarding the budget amendments? Okay. Seeing no one, does the staff have anything to add?
No.
Council, do you have any questions of the staff or the public?
No.
So the public testimony portion of this hearing is now closed. Council may now begin its discussion and deliberation on the matter.
Madam Mayor, I move to conduct first reading of ordinance 4940, amending 2023-24 biennial budget.
Motion and second to conduct first reading of ordinance 4940, amending the biennial budget. Is there any discussion?
Thank you, Gloria, for assembling this information.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. To vote aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You need to do the reading first. Read.
An ordinance amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget of the city of Ellensburg is set forth in ordinance number 4900 and previously amended as set forth in ordinance number 4923 and ordinance number 4934 to adjust appropriations in the city's funds. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so now I will read the entire script that I was supposed to read before. The purpose of this legislative hearing is for the city council to consider first reading ordinance 4941, approving the annexation number P23-130 filed by the owners of 10 parcels identified in ordinance 4941 located in the city's urban growth area. The public hearing is now open. I ask for your cooperation in the following procedure. Everyone will be given an opportunity to be heard. The city clerk will be making a recording of the proceedings. I will first recognize requests to testify from anyone attending this hearing in person, followed by any persons attending remotely via Zoom. If you wish to participate virtually via Zoom, you must raise your virtual hand on the Zoom meeting screen or press star 9 if you're connected by telephone only and wait until I've recognized your request and you have been unmuted. When you are invited to speak, begin by stating your name and address and indicate whether you're speaking for yourself individually or as a spokesperson for a certain group or both. Speak slowly and clearly. Only one person will be allowed to speak at a time. Any questions of staff are to be directed through the council. So before we hear from the audience, is there a staff report to be presented?
Yes, there is. Good evening, council members. Jeremy Johnston, Community Development. Let me bring up, share my screen here. Okay. For you this evening is an annexation application, application number P23-130. This was originally submitted to Community Development on December 21st, 2023 by the applicants Jeff and Valerie Calloway. It initially included just one parcel, parcel 166133, which is the northernmost parcel you can see along Dollar Way, the large one in the picture there. Following discussions between staff and the application was amended and resubmitted on January 24th, 2024 to include 7 additional contiguous parcels owned by the applicant in the applicant's business. You can see those parcels to the south of the larger parcel, sort of all in the shaded cyan color, I suppose. Following receipt of the amended application, staff identified 2 additional contiguous parcels. Those can be seen. Those are the most northern west parcels, sort of a rectangular shape. There's 2 small parcels there, just off to the west side of the boundary. These were owned by Kristen Gibson and Tom Luft. Under the 60% valuation threshold established in RCW 35.13.130, these parcels can be brought into the proposal as the original 8 parcels owned by the applicant made up approximately 96% of the total valuation of all 10 parcels combined. On February 5th of this year, staff brought the amended notice of intent to annex before the city council to establish the geographic boundary of the annexation, assign future zoning designations, and require the assumption of proportional city indebtedness upon annexation. Staff recommended including the two additional parcels owned by Tom Left and Kristen Gibson to avoid the creation of an unincorporated island. At this meeting, City Council decided to include these two additional parcels and added it to the original 8 parcels, resulting in 10 parcels in total. And consistent with the comprehensive plan's future land use designation map, the City Council assigned the original 8 parcels a zoning designation of light industrial, and the 2 additional parcels owned by Tom Left and Kristen Gibson a zoning designation of commercial highway. And that's because there's actually a split in our future land use designation between those larger group of parcels and the 2 smaller ones on the west side of that. Following the City Council meeting, staff notified Mr. Left and Ms. Gibson of the city's intention to include their properties in the annexation proposal. Staff subsequently received signed letters from both property owners stating that they did not object to the annexation. This can be seen in Exhibit 7 of your review materials. A petition to annex application was then submitted to Community Development and forwarded to the County Assessor's Office to verify sufficiency of the proposal. Staff the Assessor's Office provided their sufficiency determination to Community Development on February 23rd, 2024. On March 14th, the Planning Commission held a public hearing to consider the annexation proposal, which now included the 10 parcels before you, and provided a recommendation to City Council. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to approve the proposal as presented by staff and consistent with the City Council direction from the February 5th City Council meeting in reference to the proposed zoning designations. Public notice of this annexation proposal has followed the requirements of Ellensburg City Code 15.220 as indicated in Exhibits 8, 9, and 10 of your review materials. Staff is recommending approval of the annexation proposal through the first reading of Ordinance 4941 to include parcels 919333 and 639333, which are those 2 smaller parcels, to be zoned as commercial highway, and the remaining 8 parcels owned by the Callaways with a zoning designation of light industrial. That concludes my staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I also believe the applicant's agent is here as well. Any questions?
Yes. So do the applicant or applicant's representative have any testimony they'd like to present at this time?
Good evening. For the record, Chad Bela, Terra Design Group, authorized representative for Jeff and Valerie Callaway and Kristen Gibson, and we're in support of the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you. The floor is open to testimony from the public. Each person will have an opportunity to address the council for an initial period not to exceed 5 minutes. If more time is needed, it will be available after everyone has had an opportunity to speak. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak regarding this annexation? Ms. Blue?
On the light industrial parcels, I'm wondering where they're physically located. Maybe you could find out for the representatives of Mr. Callaway. And I'm wondering if that location is where the mill ditch is located. There are people with water rights out on Dollar Way that are having that have water rights that come down through the mill ditch. And I'm just wondering if those parcels affect the mill ditch.
Okay, thank you. We will
identify myself.
We will get to your question. The council has to ask that question of staff, so just hang on. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Mr. Callaway.
Thank you. I'm Jeff Callaway, a resident of the county, and I also own property in Ellensburg. With regards to the question regarding Mill Ditch is made up of several branches. The particular branch that serves the property that is proposed to be annexed into the city services only those parcels. The other branch of the ditch serves all the other customers of Mill Ditch. And in addition to that, there is an agreement that covers other Mill Ditch customers where they draw, their point of withdrawal is from the west channel of Reeser Creek. And a pump station there is actually run by the city. So.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Does the staff have anything to add?
Madam Mayor, did you want, I don't know if there's any online comments.
There is no one with their hand raised. Is there anyone online who would like to speak regarding the annexation? There is not. So, do you have?
Staff does not have anything to add.
Okay. Did the applicants or any persons in the audience want to add any non-repetitive information or evidence about this matter? Council, do you have any questions of the staff, applicants, or public?
Thank you, Jeremy, for assembling this.
Yeah, Jeremy, would you mind pulling up the map and showing us where those industrial?
Yeah, I should have
light
been probably a little
industrial-
more detail on that. Let me, So these properties are largely perched along Dollar Way, bordered by I-90 and then some, at least some conservation property, across I.
So if you could point out Dollar Way.
Yeah, let me
Point out
zoom in here a little bit.
I-90.
And, it's not as a search.
It's always going to come down.
A little bit here. Thanks, Drew.
One moment.
Yeah, so this runs, if you can follow my cursor there, this runs along Dollar Way here. So all these parcels, the original parcel is this larger one here, the two additional smaller parcels that were added right there, and the rest of these are owned by the Callaways personally or through their business. So I can see I-90 running along there. This is the red line is the urban growth boundary, which overlaps the city boundary in this specific spot.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Callaway, would you, can you come up to the microphone, please?
I guess you'd call it trapezoidal. This particular parcel here is already zoned light industrial.
In the county or in yes. Yeah. So council, any further questions?
None.
The public testimony portion of this hearing is now closed. Council may now begin its discussion deliberation of this matter. We're looking for a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move first reading of ordinance 4941 approving the annexation before us tonight.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the or conduct first reading of ordinance 4941 annexing several parcels with light industrial zoning and a couple parcels with commercial highway zoning. Clarification from the city attorney, I didn't hear in the motion that to approve the Callaway annexation proposal, if we improve the ordinance that is included.
includes the approval of the
Okay,
annexation.
great, thanks. Any discussion?
Well, I'd just like to thank staff for going back and checking on those two parcels, and I'm glad it all worked out.
Yes. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You vote aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Welcome to the city, almost. We have another reading to go.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ellensburg, Washington, annexing 8 parcels to the City of Ellensburg, Washington, assigning commercial highway zoning classification to parcels 919333 and 639333 and light industrial zoning to the remaining parcels, providing for the proportional assumption of existing indebtedness and fixing a time when the same shall be effective.
Thank you. We are at item 9A on page 159. This is a resolution for multifamily housing limited property tax exemption agreement with Patricia Place.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Lily Fry, Community Development. The city received an application for the multifamily tax exemption program from Patricia Place LLC for 501 North Water Street. The property includes 49 units, 40 of which are one-bedroom units, 8 are two-bedroom units, and 1 is a studio. The city of Ellensburg adopted a multifamily tax exemption program in 2007. Since then, 9 buildings have applied for this tax credit and 5 plus the current applicant have completed planned construction. The program is available in the central commercial and CC2 zones for new multifamily properties with more than 4 units. It is available as an 8-year tax exemption for market rate properties and as a 12-year tax exemption for income restricted affordable housing units. The Patricia Place LLC application is for the 8-year exemption. If accepted, the exemption would defer the collection of city and county tax revenue on this property beginning in 2025 and lasting through 2032, amounting to approximately $8,725 in city tax revenue annually. The Patricia Place application meets eligibility standards for the program detailed in Ellensburg City Code, Chapter 2.30. The recommendation is to adopt the resolution on page 2024-06 on page 161 in your packet and authorize the city manager to sign a contract with Patricia Place LLC to receive a conditional certificate of tax exemption.
Thank you. Councilor, do you have questions of staff?
No.
Is there anyone in the public who'd like to speak to this?
Actually, Nancy, I guess I do have a question.
Okay.
For staff.
Go ahead.
So 100% supportive of sort of why we took this action. When I was reading through this, I had some initial sort of, hey, we're incentivizing something that doesn't necessarily address affordable housing. From that perspective, it certainly adds to the inventory, which ultimately, from market pressure will, theoretically drop prices. So I'm comfortable. I'm wondering, is this tax exemption, does it require us to take any action moving forward, or is it just indefinitely in place until we take some sort of affirmative action?
It's currently in the code. There isn't an expiration for this exemption as it's structured now.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I thought I read it's a 12-year.
I'm sorry, for this individual property, yes, there's an 8-year expiration for the overall program. There's no sunset.
Oh, okay.
Can I clarify? If there's a 20%, I believe, affordable housing component of a project, then they would qualify for the 12-year exemption as opposed to the 8-year.
Okay. So what we're approving tonight is an 8-year exemption. Okay. Is there any public comment? Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I moved, I forgot the resolution number. Resolution 2024-06.
I will second.
Motion and second to approve the multifamily housing limited property tax exemption resolution 2024-06. Do we also need an agreement to?
It's included in the
included in the resolution. Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion?
Thank you, Lily.
All in favor?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And it's a resolution, nothing to read. So we are at new business 11A, page 168. This is the Arbor Day Tree Giveaway Program expansion. Nicole.
We have Nicole online.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Nicole Baker, the Sustainability and Energy Coordinator. I'm here tonight to present the staff report for the proposed Arbor Day Tree Giveaway Program expansion. The current program is ready to go, offering a variety of tree species to choose from. The expansion idea came up recently for me to evaluate. It was a beginning step. It is a beginning step, and with Arbor Day around the corner, it was determined to expand on the already efficient process of the existing program. The Environmental Commission was presented this information at the March 20th meeting, resulting in a recommendation for council approval. A brief history shows us the motivation by citizens to partake in Arbor Day programs. Arbor Day is a well-known event that has increased in popularity for over 150 years. The city of Ellensburg is a leader in urban canopy cover, initiating its first giveaway program in 1982. Shortly after, the city became the first Tree City USA in Washington State. And just recently, this year, the city was awarded the Growth Award. The existing program limits the tree giveaway to right-of-way areas within the city limits. The program has varied in participation over the years. However, one consistency is that residents that don't have a right-of-way area would still like to participate. This expansion to the program would allow for planting in non-right-of-way areas within the city limits. Like I mentioned before, the existing giveaway program already has a streamlined process in place to handle the increased interest with this expansion. The process requires site visits from the staff to ensure planting is in the appropriate areas. For example, we don't want to plant in line of sight or in the way of overhead lines in any way. So once that's approved, a $150 voucher is awarded to the resident, in which case they can then take it to a participating nursery to pick up a tree. In addition to community engagement, the tree giveaway program offers many other benefits to our city. Trees sequester and store carbon. They clean up air pollutants, provide habitat for urban wildlife, are aesthetically pleasing, and provide shade. Trees manage stormwater naturally by displacing the energy of a precipitation event, intercepting raindrops, and slowing down runoff. They absorb polluted stormwater and cool it before it even enters our tributaries. The recently adopted Sustainability and Energy Plan, as well as the 2024 Urban Tree Canopy Assessment, support a non-right-of-way tree program. The land use category in the Sustainability and Energy Plan includes an action to identify spaces for dedicated green space and tree canopy cover to promote climate resilience and carbon sequestration. The Urban Tree Canopy Assessment recommends that pairing educational programming with tree giveaways, tree planting programs, and tree maintenance events can help increase urban tree canopy in the 1,300 acres of plantable space in our residential zone lands. So trees truly are a champion for our community and for our environment, and residents can help us clean up our air and our water by adding to our urban tree canopy. It is recommended that council adopts the expansion of the Arbor Day tree giveaway program to allow tree voucher eligibility beyond the right-of-way areas and private residential zones within the city of Ellensburg city limits. And with that, I can take some questions.
Hey, council, do you have questions regarding the tree program?
No.
Okay. Is there anyone in the public who'd like to speak regarding the tree program or Arbor Day? Okay. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move to adopt the expansion of the Arbor Day tree giveaway program to allow tree voucher eligibility beyond the right-of-way areas in private residential zones within the city of Ellensburg city limits.
Second.
Motion and second to adopt the expansion of the Arbor Day tree giveaway program to allow tree voucher eligibility beyond the right-of-way in private residential zones. Is there any discussion? Thank you for working on that program and presenting it. Nicole, is all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Two vote aye, opposed? That motion carries. We have a Field House Owners Advisors Consultant Agreement.
Good evening, Council. Mayor Pro Tem Brad Case, Parks and Recreation Director. Since December of 2022, the city's been actively working to replace the Racket Center, a building which was which was destroyed in a fire, and replacing that with a field house facility. And so our first step in that process was to update the Rotary Park Master Plan, which we did. Our next step was to hire a consultant to begin the preliminary design for the Fieldhouse project. At your November 6th, 2023 meeting, you approved agreement with the Helix Design Group to start that project. Since that time, they've provided us with a variety of services, one of which is an analysis and a recommendation for the selection of the project delivery method compared to a traditional design build method for this project. And so Helix looked at it, decided based on kind of what we were trying to do, that a progressive design build process was the most advantageous for us for a variety of reasons, including that we can work closely with the coordination of the project construction and design team, really the accelerated construction scheduling, which is a big one for this project, early procurement of materials, and flexibility in project funding. As a part of that process, we have to go in front of the Washington State Project Review Committee because it's an alternative delivery method, and get their approval to basically do this type of project. This is something the city has never done before. And so we have to go through a review process in order to be allowed to do this type of project. And so And we have to do this early on, kind of in the project concept phase. And so what we've decided to do with Helix is to kind of put a pause on that process, because we don't want to get too far down the design process. Because really the alternative bid benefit is that we can kind of design as we go. It allows you that flexibility, and we don't want to get too far with a preliminary plan. And so we retained Thaxton Parkinson to help provide us with legal counsel for assisting us with this process. And then because they're very well versed in going in front of the PRC, that's what they do for a living. And so they also provided us with the guidance of selection on the selection of an owner advisor consultant for the project. And that owner advisor assists the city throughout the progressive design build project delivery process. And so we solicited qualifications from firms to do that work. And we had 2 firms submit their qualifications. And we really kind of broke it out in a couple phases for that part of our project. Phase 1.1 of the project is for the procurement services, including the PRC approval and assembly of the design build team. Phase 1.2 is for validation and design development, including project management and design build team coordination. And then phase 3 is for final design and construction for services as required, including cost estimating, stakeholder involvement, and permitting. So again, 2 firms solicited their qualifications. The Winnaha Group was selected as a preferred firm due to their team organization, their experience with the alternative delivery methods project, and their approach to a services, project management, and cost tracking services. They're also a certified disadvantaged business enterprise, which when you go in front of the review committee, carries some extra points with it. And so the action that is in front of you tonight is to authorize the city manager to sign the consultant agreement with the Winnaha Group in the amount of $635,231.68 and approve the necessary budget adjustments. And we do have on the line, we have Heath Gardner from the Winnaha Group here to answer any questions, and Robin Thaxton, who is our outside legal counsel, is also on the line as well. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Council, do you have questions for Brad or either of the 2 online?
Brad, thank you for assembling this information. This is really interesting from a project delivery standpoint, just to kind of educate the general public that may be interested as far as what our typical project delivery method is and how that differs from what we're doing here, just to kind of expand on that. Do you mind talking about that really quickly?
Yeah, what we've traditionally done is the design bid build process. And so you design the project with consultants in advance of going out to bid, and then you bid that project out, and then you have contractors bid on the project, and you're basically dealing with the designs that you put out months in advance. And so there's some flexibility in it, but you have to go through a process in order to change things. So it's not very adaptable. We don't have all of our project budget for this project yet. So we may be adding things and subtracting things kind of as the project builds out. Under the traditional system, we wouldn't be allowed to do that. And so this just gives us that flexibility. And so, it's probably not the best option for every single project that we do. But when you're talking about projects of this magnitude, excess of $20 million, this type of project or this type of delivery method is the most advantageous. A lot of school districts use it when they're building buildings, but it just gives us a lot more flexibility.
And if I can add to that, thank you, Brad, is that the benefit here is speed. And this is trying to, at the end of the day, provide a community commodity quicker than our typical processing system. Hence why this was recommended.
I would say that is correct. And I would add to that, with the uncertainty of funding, there's a scalability to this method as well.
The one caveat there would be with this system is that there's typically a higher contingency in this stage of it than on a typical design bid build process.
Correct.
Yeah.
Explain contingency.
Hi, I'm Robin. I could probably answer some of those questions for you.
Go for it.
Hi, I'm Robin Thaxton. I'm helping you guys with this project. Actually, one of the things you'll find with Progressive Design Build is that we are not going to, when we hire the design builder, we're going to progressively go through. So we'll go through a process where we initially validate the scope, schedule, and price. And in this case, we'll probably do that in phases. Then we'll move through that process as you design and price. We'll end up with a GMP and then we'll go forward. It's actually a more efficient pricing method. So at this point in time, yeah, there's probably a lot of contingency in the budget, but one of the things you can do with Progressive Design Build that you can't do with other types of delivery methods is actually have the design builder, as those contingencies don't come to pass because it's a cost reimbursable contract, they can actually use that contingency to add scope into the contract. So I sit on the Capital Projects Advisory Review Board, which appoints the project review committee. And so we see all of the design build projects that are going in front of the state, and Progressive Design Build has become the prevalent way for cities and counties and the universities to do design build for vertical projects. It's the only way that the University of Washington does these projects, and the University Western Washington University only uses Progressive. Washington State University only uses Progressive. University of Washington, and it's become the prevalent way to do this for vertical projects. So this is a well-known delivery method in this state, and it's becoming to where it's not alternative anymore. So, but I'd be happy to answer any questions about the process or anything like that.
Thank you for that. And I guess maybe not a question, but my understanding of what we're doing, what I have kind of said for a while is, we don't know how much money we have to build the field house, and we're still working on getting more. But we need to start by 2024, or we start losing some of the money. So I was kind of suggesting that we need to scale everything down and to the money we have in hand, and then be able to scale it up as more money becomes available, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this process allows us to do that, right?
Yes, it absolutely does. There are a number of projects out there that owners have decided to compartmentalize portions of the project, and Progressive Design Build is an excellent way to do that, where you start off with, putting together a scope of work of what you have the funding for, and then being able to Well, the great thing about this is that you'll have the designer and the constructor on board so that they can help you figure out when you get more money, how you can very efficiently incorporate that into the project. Using not just the design, but also figuring out the constructability, the means and methods of the constructor that's going to be constructing it for you. And trying to be as efficient as possible. And you'll be able to make those decisions along with the design build team. So yeah, it is. I don't know how you would do this project otherwise, given your funding constraints initially, and then the potential wonderful additional funding if you were able to get it.
We still have our fingers crossed. Go ahead.
In all of this scalability up and down, are we going to lose any of the critical pieces that we want in this field house?
I don't think anybody can answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, our plan certainly isn't to lose anything. You know, I think what we're hoping for right now is pretty grandiose, and again, scaling it down, something smaller, but still keeping kind of the main components within the building. Yeah, we don't want to lose that. But, you know, instead of 8 basketball courts, we may have 6. Instead of a 120-yard turf area, we may have a 100-yard turf area. So something along those lines.
Anything further? All in favor? Or was there a motion? I'm sorry.
Do you want to do public comment?
Questions. Public comment. I forgot where I was. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to speak? Anyone online who'd like to speak?
Yeah.
Could you come to the? Yes, please. Yeah.
Hi, Jennifer Pattison with the county. So does this spending here work for the money that you received from the fire damage? I know you had a time frame that you had to use that money by. Are you going to be using enough of that money in the time frame you were allowed?
I will turn that question over to Heidi.
So the answer to that is absolutely, and we'll need a lot more than that.
Yes. Yeah, we have to start spending by the end of 2024.
Correct.
But we don't have to spend the entire 6 million by the end of 2024. Does that answer your question, Jennifer? Okay. So is there any other public comment? Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move to authorize city manager to sign a consultant agreement with Winaha Group in the amount of $635,231.68 and approve the necessary budget adjustments.
Second.
Motion and second to authorize the city manager to sign the consultant agreement as stated. Is there further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We're at the manager's report, page 196.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem and Council. I'm Heidi Barron, Sternaway City Manager. I have a very long list on the manager's report tonight, and a couple points that I would ask for your action on. Number 2 is the Sleep Center site analysis. At your previous meeting, you selected a process by which we will evaluate alternative sites for the Sleep Center. And to answer the question to Mr. Kelleher, we are accepting site suggestions through April 15th, and we'll make sure that gets on exactly on the survey. It's in other locations. We will do, we're looking at doing a public meeting on the 19th of April, I guess it is, in the afternoon. This will be a public meeting to evaluate those sites. We'll be working with the ad hoc committee on homelessness. This is a joint city county meeting or group that's been meeting for almost over the last 2 years. At the meeting, we recommended that we can add up to 2 council members on this selection committee. So I would ask for your recommendation or appointment of up to 2 additional council members to serve on that committee. We would ask that you would be available to serve, to attend 2 meetings. One is a planning meeting. It's not a public meeting, on April 8th in the afternoon from 3:30 to 5. The next would be the public meeting, and that would be on April 19th. It's a Friday, from 3:30 to 5. And I know there were 2 council members that expressed interest, but I would leave it up to council to designate. And I would add one thing. We were requested to add a local business person, and we reached out to the EDA, the Ellensburg Downtown Association, and the Chamber. We actually got a list from each, and so we selected the first person on each of those lists. And so Jerry Lale will be added to the group, as will Andy Pollock. And
they've confirmed.
They've confirmed.
Awesome.
And so they'll be attending both meetings. And so I would look for your recommendation for a council member or council members.
Yeah, I remember Nancy was interested in who, was it Josh?
Yeah.
Is there anyone else who's interested and available? Then do we need a motion to appoint Nancy and Josh to the homelessness ad hoc committee?
I'll motion for the 2 appointment of the 2 council members of Nancy and Josh to the sleep center analysis.
Second.
Motion and second to add Nancy Goodlow and Josh Thompson to the ad hoc committee on homelessness to evaluate the sleep center. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I 2 vote aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We don't need to motion for Andy and Jerry?
No, I don't believe so. And then I would add to the manager's report, we've been getting a number of questions about the utility bills. And so when folks noticed that when we upgraded and moved to our new utility billing system, they recognize that there's a stormwater fee on their utility bill. Stormwater fees have been charged since 2007. This is not a new charge. It's actually just more visible on our current stormwater utility. And again, all residential units and commercial units pay a stormwater utility fee, and these are used to maintain our utility. That includes street sweeping and cleaning out our storm catch basins and a number of different programs, including our tree giveaway, which you'll see tonight. So if folks have questions about their utility bills, just reminding them to call City Hall, and we will help people understand them. A couple things that aren't in the manager's report tonight. Just a reminder that the World Cafe, it will actually be held at Central Washington University on April 13th. That is Saturday, April 13th from 2 to 4 p.m. And it's at CWU Sue Lombard Hall. Parking is free. We have some social media out about that. And then the waste management spring cleanup days, they were a little late in getting the notices out. So for all of those waste management customers in the city, you should actually be receiving a card in the mail this week, Wednesday. The cleanup days are April 6th through the 13th. So that starts next week. If you don't get one, or if you need assistance, contact our Public Works counter. Just call City Hall and we'll connect you with one. So that provides a free dump load for folks who are customers. And that is all I have for this evening.
Can I ask clarification? The planning meeting of the ad hoc committee on April 8th.
Right.
Public can attend, but it is not something that that they will be able to comment and participate in?
We don't have a requirement for public to attend that. We're just going to be doing the planning for the public meeting. And that means just looking at we're not going to be looking at the specific sites. Those will be released to the public at the same time. And so this was a planning meeting to look at our process and just our voting mechanisms on the planning side.
Okay. I just, like, all meetings are open to public viewing, aren't they?
They're not required to be so.
Okay.
I mean, if somebody really wanted to come and observe, we could accommodate them. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So nothing further for manager?
That's correct.
Sarah, do you have a council member report?
I have a couple questions. Have we, with the KitCom, have we got our new temporary or director in place?
We have an interim director that
Interim,
started
thank you.
last week, Brian Schaefer.
Okay, so am I going to stay on that? Rich? I mean, I'm willing to, but I didn't know if you wanted to take it back.
You are welcome to. Yeah, I have to sort of be involved anyway, so it's kind of hitting two birds if I take back over, but I don't have any need to do that unless you don't want to do it, or it can be done more efficiently.
Oh, it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just that I didn't know if it doesn't matter. I'll stay. Okay.
Okay.
Then the next one, all my stuff is coming up. I'm swamped the next 2 weeks, but I did attend the Unity Park groundbreaking on Saturday with most of us, and that was a wonderful event. I liked it very much. I'm very excited about the chat book that's coming on this Saturday, yes, at 10 a.m. with the poems around Ellensburg. That should be a fun event. And then I was also one of the council members that's attended the Save Craig Hill meeting last Tuesday. And I do want to extend an apology from city council there as well, but they met us with nothing but graciousness. And it was a very productive meeting. We had a good time, and please pass on the cookies I got are delicious. They had a dessert auction and I got Reese's peanut butter cookies. So just saying. Okay. Anyway, and so I do have a question, and I don't know if this is appropriate place, but I'm going to throw it out there. And if I get in trouble, because it's just been repeatedly asked, and I would like an answer as well, as why can we not have a town hall meeting? I mean, why is that not something that we can do or haven't done? Or I don't feel like I've gotten an answer to that. It's always been asked, but then it's just never happened. So I just was hoping for clarification to bring in the county commissioners and, council.
So we've talked about doing a joint meeting, and I don't know that there's interest from the county commissioners in doing a joint town hall. So it typically it's an agenda with specific things. So certainly something we can explore with them.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I'd like a definition. I don't know how it's different than the open houses that we've had or, meetings.
Right. I think
if someone could explain that to me.
Right. And I don't know that I have the explanation, but I think that it's more of just having a neutral ground. I think that's what our public is asking for, so that it's not here in this kind of meeting where they get the 3-minute timer tick down. It's not an open house that's here, and we're not having dialogue that everybody's involved in. And so I think that the town hall meeting, and to house the people that want to be there. There's a lot of times in our meetings where they're in the hallway, and I get they can hear it, but it's a little different than being right there and being able to engage face to face with people. And so that's my understanding from just listening to the people that are asking for that. So that's where I'm.
Nancy?
Yeah, thank you. A couple of things just to remind folks. I was out of town for the UAC meeting last week, so I don't have any reports on my committees, except the the County Affordable Housing Commission did meet today, and we're working on planning for the new 5-year plan. And things I think are going to go really smoothly, and I feel a sense of productivity already. We do have 2 positions available on that commission. If anybody's interested, they can go through this county website and apply. We have 4 or 5 applications already that we're going to look at our next meeting in May. So if anybody's interested, they should move with haste to get their name in there. let's see. I wanted to remind everybody of the forum coming up Friday at 1:00, the AWC sponsored forum. The title is Hijacked by Hate. It's a conversation about the zoo bombing comments that things that are happening in public meetings around the state. I understand there's a lot of people signed up for that. In that hour, there will be 2 opportunities for breakout sessions that will last about 20 minutes each. So you will have an opportunity to share some of our experiences and hear from others. For most of that meeting will be breakouts with participation from the attendees. So I hope you can attend. I think it'll be well worth your time to do that. I heard today at the Homeless Affordable Housing Commission meeting, apparently there's a new group that has organized. It's called, if I'm not mistaken, it's called the Ellensburg Homeless Panel. They're going to have a meeting on April 16th at 6:00 at Howe Homes. Apparently and hopefully there will be a number of the homeless community at that meeting. I'm not sure exactly what the format's going to be or what it's all about, but
what date is that?
It's April 16th at 6:00. And I did also attend the Unity Park groundbreaking and enjoyed seeing everybody and participate in the excitement of that project getting rolling. As I mentioned at the last meeting, I did go to one of the meetings of the Craigs Hill group and enjoyed that and appreciated their hospitality with that.
That it? Mm-hmm. Rich, do you want to go last as mayor, or do you want?
Either way, I'm good. Go ahead and go through. I'll do last.
Okay. David?
Thank you. I don't have a report, but I would like to speak to the comment earlier. And I just, to Angie and the group from Craigs Hill, it's been suggested that I insulted or disparaged folks at our meeting. And if that's the case, I sincerely apologize. I in no way intended to disparage anyone associated with the group. I have the utmost respect for Angie and the work she has done. And I would say that my pontification, as it's been called, was simply the reflection of me expressing my own frustrations of this communication process that we've had for the last year or so. If any of that was interpreted as an insult toward those folks who have been organizing, that was not my intention. And if that's the way it was received, I completely apologize. And that's all I'll say.
Real quick, to Sarah's comment from earlier, just to talk about this a little bit, open house versus town hall. I know that we have had open houses associated with the Reed Park, and I'm not sure if it is on the docket with certain stages of the continuing project to have open house versus town hall. To me, the format is very similar. It's essentially a dissemination of information from a public standpoint that allows a dialogue between the public and the people associated with the council or parts of the staff to be able to answer some of those comments and questions, record some of them for follow-up communications. But if that is, then that's something that could be discussed. But I think we're diving too much into the nomenclatures associated with open houses versus town hall. Formats are very, very, very similar. As far as my report, we had Affordable Housing Commission, City Housing Affordable Housing Commission, about 2 weeks ago. It was a great meeting with ORFA, Office of Rural and Farm Work Housing presentation. They help out a lot of agencies throughout the state establish affordable housing or transition housing or shelter housing across the state of Washington. They've implemented 2,400 units across the state, but there are 0 currently that this group has done in Kittitas County. So I'm interested in finding out what they can do for us. And I understand there are going to be some opportunities. So we're looking forward to hearing more from ORFA. Law and Justice Council, from 2 weeks ago, they're actually having a youth mentoring at Ellensburg High School this Friday at 8 a.m. Anybody interested in that can contact Katrina Marcus about that youth mentoring at Ellensburg High School. And then the Steer I-90 committee or council, they held their meeting on March 14th. Their next meeting is going to be on March 11th at 2 p.m. This will simply be an update from their, now I'm getting confused, whether it was a townhouse or an open house that was held up in Cle Elum. This will be a follow-up on that discussion as far as the next steps in that project. And then the final comment here is that I'm not sure the proper process, but I'm going to request formal absence for May 7th and June 4th. I will be traveling both of those days. So I'm not sure if they need to be approved by you all, but putting it out there. That's May 7th and June 4th. Okay. So,
Motion to approve.
I'm sorry. So then?
6th,
May
May
6th.
and
Yes.
June 4th.
Yes, sorry.
Is there a motion to excuse Councilmember Palmer?
June, yeah, I'm sorry. May 6th and June 3rd for everybody's effort.
Excused absence for Councilmember Palmer.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and second to excuse Councilmember Palmer from the May 6th and June 3rd meetings. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
You will vote
you.
aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. That's it. Cool.
Two things. First on the town hall open house. I'm always in favor of dialogue. I agree that the 3-minute shot clock can get frustrating. And it does make it feel like there's just like we're listening, but puts us in a position where we can't really respond at the same time. And I think when we talk about communicating, it is that two-way dialogue, and I think we really need it. So whatever the title of that meeting would be, I'm in favor of it. And I think we're at a good spot where this process is going to go on for a little bit. We can continue to talk about it. We can continue to address concerns that come up, new thoughts that come up. I think it should be a constant dialogue. I'm always happy to engage in it. I've been up to the American Legion a dozen times, and I always appreciate hearing information that I don't have the time myself to constantly source. It's incredibly valuable for me, and so I want to give whatever format, whatever it's called, an opportunity for that two-way dialogue. I think it's going to be positive. Second thing, I'm on the Chamber of Commerce lunch. I need to see if somebody else can take that over. It's become too big of a conflict with work, especially with now there's a travel requirement where half the meetings are in Ellensburg and then half are outside of Ellensburg and right in the middle of a Monday. It's pretty cumbersome work-wise. So if somebody else could take that on, I think it's an important thing to be at, and I don't want the council underrepresented. I want to put that out there.
What's the frequency of that meeting?
Once a month, Mondays at noon.
It's first Monday.
I just FYI, I mean, I think that I've been doing some of these, and I think there's value in that, but I'm not sure that this necessarily needs to be a specific person. And I say that because I think that I think having a different voice or a little bit different perspective is a good thing. I'm willing to take it on solely or as part of a group.
I think that's a good idea. Rotating would provide lots of exposure. Yeah.
I can commit to a rotation.
So Rich, if you would be point person and then perhaps kind of ask for volunteers on a case-by-case, month-by-month basis. Does that work?
Yes, we'll get some support from the city manager's office.
The city manager was just offering that support. So yes, we can help.
Okay. Because we just have to be careful not to have 3 of us or 4 of us show up. So require some coordination. So I will say I attended the Environmental Commission and the UAC, in which the sustainability implementation strategy was presented at both of those. And Nancy, were you told you're not chair anymore?
No, but I was assuming that I wasn't, so that was okay.
Okay, so Jeff was on from the university, is now chairing that committee, the UAC. I had the opportunity to travel to Olympia for the bill signing, which allows the city council to participate in the decision-making regarding our Climate Commitment Act carbon credit auction purchases. I attended a Yakima Basin Fish and Wildlife Recovery Board meeting where there was a presentation on the new federal Columbia Basin Restoration Initiative. They call them 6 sovereigns, so Oregon, Washington, and then the 4 tribes, along with the federal government, have kind of had an agreement about how to proceed on joint projects. Unity Park was mentioned. Regarding the Reed Park, I would request just to be clear for everyone, what the next steps are, where is the next decision point for the council. I'm assuming that's in the budget. And then, yeah.
Would you like me to answer that right now?
Well, sure, but maybe have a timeline or post some.
Right. And that was
somewhere.
part of our presentation last time, that council adopted a plan last time. So the next piece would actually be to work on funding. Again, there are other issues that we're working on. Part of the manager's report included the discussion with the county about doing some additional geotech work and working in conjunction with the county on that. And so when we move into project, first we need to move in funding, and that means sourcing funding. And so that we're looking at a year plus. And so additional work to begin on the park is not immediate. And there would be some announcements about that and budget assigned for that. And I would like to just clarify the question about, the county and the city doing a joint town hall. One of the issues was the main issue was the Reed Park master plan. The county commissioners were very clear that that is a city project and wanted to make sure to keep that separate. And so it's back to, if there's a topic or an issue to be done at a joint meeting, we can certainly work with them on that. So that was part of the sort of pause.
But we could have some differently structured thing to have dialogue between the city council and the residents without the county commissioners.
Absolutely.
I also had the pleasure of greeting a group of high school students from Santa City, and they gave the city this poster, which one of the participants, I don't think she was a high school student, but she was accompanying the group, drew and put together for us. And it was very special for me because when I went to Santa in 2012, my host family had 2 boys, 4 and 7, and the 4-year-old came as a high school student, and they spent a day going to classes at Ellensburg High. And so anyway, I got to spend some time with Shoma, who was a little boy and is now a young man. So we'll find a place for this, and they have all gone back to Japan. But we continue that relationship, usually through the county, the sister city relationship. And lastly, I just want to say buy Girl Scout cookies because they're a good organization. Rich.
Nancy, can you follow up on the event at IOOF this Friday? I did talk with or emailed conversation, and they would like a council member to attend. Unfortunately, I don't fly back until Friday evening late. Do you want to just talk about what that is real quick, and maybe we can get somebody else?
Friday? Okay. I think I'm in the dark. What are we?
Scott Nikolai said that they're running a, what's that?
That's Thursday, right?
Yes.
Thursday.
Thursday, IOOF, and it's a fundraiser, or it's an event honoring the students that are being sent to Washington, D.C. on a scholarship. I will get additional information and give it out to the council if somebody can be willing to attend that.
I have that information, and I can send it. It's it's some sort of exchange program, and I think there's 2 students from Ellensburg High that are going, and they'll meet others. And Thursday evening at the Odd Fellows, it's a potluck, but it's an opportunity to meet the 2 students who are going. So we'll get details out. So, anything else?
Yeah, a couple things just real quick, and this can be for the future. The energy code sparked my interest in if we can get to the point where we can put together the templates for the ADUs, which I think is part of our affordable housing solution, not a massive part, but it's complementary. I think that having ADUs that are energy code compliant, obviously, would be something and may help prime the pathway. And so I think there's a way that government can, potentially participate in partial solutions to a number of different issues here. So I'm just going to throw that out there as something on the agenda for a future meeting, obviously when staff has time to do something like that. And she's not answering me, so okay. It must be. I'm going to take that as a vote of confidence because that's what I do at my house.
Excellent.
We did meet with Representative Schreier last week. Just a goodwill stop through, and to see how things were going and things that her office can do for us, and that was appreciated. As we mentioned, we do have an actual knowledgeable interim director of KitCom who is helping us unravel some issues and set us up for success when we get a permanent director. I have been a small part of meetings with Centrifuge, the Chamber, Central, the county, and the city of Ellensburg, just trying to align our economic development efforts and make sure that we're producing the right data so that we can measure success and know where our gaps are. And so that's been very important. And I would just say that's actually all I have. So thank you.
Okay. Unless there's anything else, we are adjourned.